Hello everyone, I'm Stram, and welcome back to another episode of the Acolyte Preview Series. This series goes through a balance run of the next update to my mod, Stram's classes. If you would like to become a beta tester for the mod, join the Discord in the description for more information. First things first, some new additions I made since the last episode. The current beta testers have brought up some feedback, and I've added a few new weapons early game to help smooth it over. The Toxin is a rune that is crafted out of a stone rune and stingers. It is a pretty simple rune and inflicts the poison debuff onto enemies. The High Fae Blade is a new theme crafted out of glowing mushrooms. It has decent damage, and dashes leave a trail of mushroom spore clouds behind you. The Cocytus is a rare soul bow that drops from ice bats. The first shot from the Cocytus is always a Cocytus hive, as long as there is not a hive active already. Striking the hive with any soul bow arrow will cause it to burst into 4 icy bats that will heal the user upon striking an enemy. The Oozebane is a new boss drop. The Athame drops from King Slime and has a longer dash velocity than most other blades at this tier. When swung at high speeds, it will also fling lingering drops of gel that will damage unsuspecting enemies. Dashing with the Athame will fire several drops of gel into the air. If you kill enough goblin sorcerers during a goblin army, they may drop one of their ritual daggers. This Athame has low damage, but high armor penetration and ignores a lot of enemy immunity frames. Additionally, when dashing, it will launch a Shadow Flame bolt forward. While not a pre-hard mode weapon, the Corruption exclusive Green Flame Blade has been also added. It is a hard mode Athame that will ignite enemies in cursed green flames. The blade has visual green flames coming off of it to display this effect. Now that all the new additions are covered, let's get back into the balance run. Starting things off, I never showed the compound bow from the last episode. It pierces many enemies but gives diminishing returns of lifesteal. That allows it to perform as a decent lifesteal option on single targets and even better on grouped targets. First thing I did was upgrade to the Drax and go on an underground jungle mining spree. Once I had obtained enough chlorophyte, I kept looking to top my max life off with life fruits. Before I made any chlorophyte upgrades, however, I fought Queen Slime. It got a bit dicey at the end, but I did it without an arena, relying on my higher tier of gear to push through. Queen Slime drops the Queen's Jewel, which causes vessels to have a chance to not consume Arcturum. When this happens, they also spawn several damaging crystal shards around them. There are two uses for Chlorophyte at this tier. The Chlorophyte Scythe is a good option for both DPS and lifesteal. When swung, it will shoot a poison gas cloud that splits into more gas clouds after expiring. The Chlorophyte Focus is a vessel accessory that removes the ability for your vessels to target multiple enemies at once. Instead, they fire rapid chlorophyte beams at whatever enemy is closest. This accessory reduces a vessel's crowd control capabilities, but improves their usage during boss fights. In the Underworld, after you have defeated at least one mechanical boss, demons will be mostly replaced by red devils. If you kill enough of them and obtain an unholy trident, you can combine it with the Circle of Hell from pre-hard mode to make the Devil Talisman. The Devil Talisman is an upgraded vessel that increases the damage of you and allies in its radius by 15%. However, it will also increase the damage you take by 15%, so be wary. Once the Destroyer is beaten, you can use the Souls of Might to craft a Destructo Wand. This thing dishes out big damage, and when you dash, it launches 3 homing missiles in random directions. With these upgrades, I cleared out an arena for Plantera and got to work on the Arch Plant. Plantera was tough, but on the 3rd attempt I took her down. Plantera can drop the Flora de Fauna tome. When occult spells from this tome hit an enemy, they summon a blossoming flower that drops petals below it. Only one flower can be active at a time. When I got it, this item was a bit underwhelming, and that will be the same for a lot of the post-Plantera upgrades, as we will soon find out. I headed to the dungeon for a bit, and after struggling there, I collected some ectoplasm. I used this ectoplasm to combine a lot of my accessories and to make some more upgrades. I combined the Queen's Jewel from Queen Slime and the Chlorophyte Focus Crystal into the Focus Jewel. The Serrated Edge and Complementary Buckler combined into the Sword and Board. And finally, I crafted the Arcturum Prism, the last permanent Arcturum upgrade in the game. There's a new base rune crafting material called the Dark Rune. This serves as the final base rune for the rest of the game, and using it as a crafting material, and after obtaining some items from an artificial corruption biome, I was able to craft the Dark Sigil. The Dark Sigil is the ultimate rune accessory. To have 2 extra rune slots, you no longer require 2 different accessories. Spells will inflict debuffs for longer, and your maximum Arcturum and life are increased by 20. When you take damage, it charges you with dark energy, which is released as damaging orbs and healing power when spells hit enemies. Arcturum cost and regeneration are also slightly increased. Back in the post-Plantera dungeon, killing armored bones of any variety can sometimes yield the Life Magnetism rune. If you get a Magnet Sphere first, don't worry. You can shimmer it into the rune, and vice versa. The Life Magnetism rune causes occult spells to home toward enemies. The more times you channel it, the faster the homing. Incorporeality Hex is another rune crafted out of ectoplasm. It slows spells down slightly, but allows them to travel through tiles. Due to an obvious incompatibility with the Illumination rune, when both are channeled, the Illumination rune will provide bonus enemy penetration and cause runes to bounce off enemies instead. Dungeon spirits can now occasionally drop a new vessel called the Grave Spirit. In addition to higher damage, it provides the user and any allies within the radius with a revive. This revive only revives you to 100 life, but has a 1-minute cooldown. The trick is that it can only save one player at a time. Once it has been used, it will go on cooldown for 1 minute for everyone. Secret Technique is a tome that drops from Bone Lee. The integrated rune with this tome causes spells to be summoned on the wielder's cursor. The spells can only start up to a certain distance away from the cursor, however. Rusty Armored Bones will eventually drop the Rusty Blade. This scythe has no bonus projectiles, but high damage and high lifesteal for those risky situations. The scythe also inflicts any enemies with bleeding, which deals damage over time based on the enemy's maximum health. After I had gotten all these items, I then moved on to trying the Pumpkin Moon. This is where we would find out how weak we really were. After an entire night, we just barely managed to scrape by with a spooky twig for new wings and a little spooky wood. I didn't even see a single pumpkin. With the spooky wood, I did craft a new soul bow, the Torchwood. When the arrow strikes an enemy, they erupt in sparks of flame. Torchwood has less healing than previous soul bows, but a much lower Arcturum cost and a very fast draw speed. I also crafted the Crimson Clash scythe from hallowed bars and crimson materials. It has high lifesteal, and on dashes it fires a piercing ichor wave. With these minimal upgrades, we took back to the Pumpkin Moon, but it was pretty much a disaster. In my frustration, I decided to try Golem for some upgrades that come after you defeat him. I entered the temple and dodged the traps, mostly. I did find that the flying snakes and lizards at the temple were very difficult to deal with, which only added to my frustration. I attempted Golem 3 times and lost 3 times. It was clear that there was some serious need for change and balance for this stage of the game, so I took a break and I worked on that. I added a few items and buffed some that I already had. When I got back to recording, I first crafted the Funeral Pyre rune out of spooky wood. It caused bonus burning stakes to fly out of the spells. These stakes would also inherit the effects of the tome's integrated rune only. Right now that doesn't seem too good, but if we can defeat some Everscreams and get lucky at the Frost rune, it'll help a lot. I also added a new pre-hard mode crafting material called Dark Alloy that I will go over in the next episode. And with that and some fine silk, I crafted a new armor set. Blade Master armor was focused on Athames and Sights, with each armor piece increasing the size of occult blades. The set bonus stacked damage when you hit enemies with blades without taking damage. When you do take damage, it releases the stored damage in an explosion in a flurry of blows on nearby enemies. With Spectre bars, we were able to craft the new Spectral Blade. This blade was a DPS machine. Low lifesteal, but high mobility with its dash. When swung fast enough, it also fired bolts of spectral energy forward. If there are enemies near the cursor, it will prioritize firing at them. The Pumpkin Moon was faced again with a little spark of hope. While the event was still difficult, I made some decent progress, even managing to slay a pumpkin. The Fallen Star that hit at mid-battle definitely helped. However, it didn't drop the item we were looking for, so I switched gears the next night. Before we took on the Frost Moon, I crafted the Aether Cleave. It was a new rune that causes bonus blade beams to fire left and right when a spell hits an enemy. This rune was focused on crowd control and helped a lot during events. The Frost Moon went by and we didn't get much useful loot other than a Christmas hook. I took down several Everscream and a few Santa NK ones, but our wave wasn't high enough to give us the loot we needed from them. I considered my options and eventually I landed on attempting Duke Fishron. However, I fought him twice and failed right at the end of the fight on the last one. The class right now was not really feeling good to play, so I definitely needed to do some rethinking of balance. I ended my play session and took some notes for it. And that is where we're going to end this episode. I know it may seem a little disappointing with how little progress we actually made, but this is important for me to see and adjust, so it's perfect for when the update releases. I will mention once more that if you want to help beta test the update, join the Discord in the description for more information. And while you're down there, consider subscribing to the channel and joining the Patreon. If you want to support the channel, get access to early updates from my mods, and get your item added to one of my mods, join one of the paid tiers. Also, a thank you to my current patrons. I will see you next week with hopefully a better balanced Acolyte and post-Plantera. Bye.